So we're going to get to know Vashti a little more.
Who's that? Vashti, man.
Vashti.
It's okay. I was going to let it ride. But thank you, Jamal.
Hey, man.
Since I can't get it right, go ahead, man.
All right, so I'll get this thing started. So why don't you tell everybody like how I influenced? No, I'm just joking, man. Tell everybody how you got started in this crazy world of sports journalism. What inspired you, and how did you get started?
I've always been into sports. I played sports growing up, and I actually was an investment banker for a while. And a friend of mine, the only two black girls on the trading floor, she started a blog. She was really forward thinking because this was probably like 10 years ago. Wow. And she started a blog and she wanted me to write a weekly sports column. And I was like, okay. Because I would always be at the time on Facebook talking about sports, talking about trades, signings, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll write it, but nobody's going to read it. So people actually started reading it. So I found myself, I was already, spending work time looking at sports, but now I was spending work time looking at sports and writing about sports. So, so it just kind of evolved from there. I started working with Black Sports Online, and I covered my first NCAA tournament, and it was a wrap from there. It was like I had reached the point where I'd hated banking, and I wanted something else. And when I covered that, and I was just asking for guidance, like, please, what is my passion? What am I supposed to be doing? And then I covered my first NCAA tournament, and then it was a wrap from there. And so I, as all aspiring sports journalists do, they go out and they try to get somebody to hire them. And nobody was hiring a former investment banker with just cursory journalism background. So I started my own outlet, and it's been go since then.
I mean this in the most complimentary way possible. Before I say this,
why are you prefacing this?
Because I remember you let me read your first sports article, and you were talking about Josh Norman's hair, and I said to myself, "You got kind of a long way to go."
Josh Norman's hair? What now? Whoa! No, because Josh Norman wasn't even in the league then.
You talked about somebody's hair in the sports article, and I was like, "You might want to take that out of the article."
Why? Now you see people more and more talking about fashion and stuff. I was ahead of the curve.
But you got the drip, man. But you was like, he need to comb his hair, and I was like, come on, man.
Jamal, I would have never said that. You are lying right now. Are you serious?
Hey, you gotta bring
Jamal,
the receipts, bro. You gotta
where are the
receipts?
receipts?
You gotta go back and find the article.
But you made me talk. Wait, I would not have put that in the article, but I probably would have posted it on Facebook.
Maybe.
But there's a difference.
But back to the compliment.
No, I don't even want to hear it now because you just shaded me.
This was meant to be a compliment. Your work is great now.
We beefing.
He said now.
We beefing.
Now.
Really?
Okay. So let me ask you, where are you from originally?
Columbia.
South Carolina?
Yes.
Oh, you're South Carolinian. Okay.
And you don't want to bring a team to the border?
I don't really claim South Carolina though.
Okay.
I'm from Charlotte.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh. You went to high school in Charlotte?
No.
In Columbia?
Yes.
I'm from Charleston. I went to high school in Charleston for a year. My last year. I'm born in.
Where'd you go to college?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I went to UNC Charlotte.
Oh. He's completely abandoned South Carolina.
Yeah, he's a diehard South Carolina.
Yeah, he's
I'm both, but I hold on to South Carolina.
I don't really hold on to South Carolina. South Carolina is, it's where my roots are on my mom's side, no doubt. But it's just South Carolina is about 50 years behind. Ooh. And I just can't get with it. I mean, when you cross that border, the stench of racism just hits you in the face.
If you go west that way.
Yeah, but I don't go that way. I just stay right here in Charlotte. Go to Raleigh,
I'm
Charlotte.
sorry, that flag came down when?
And what did it take? What did it take?
Okay, so getting back to the interview part, college and pro. Give me your basketball and football teams that you follow, other than obviously the Panthers and whatnot.
I cover UNC. I cover Duke.
No, as a fan, growing up, who did you follow as a fan?
I can't say this.
Oh yeah,
people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're a fan. You're biased."
We do it.
Yeah. Let's go.
I can't because I will be shaded so hard. Oh no, they'll go back and recall tweets, and this is why you said this and this then.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
You're a fan of, but
Kirk Herbstreit goes.
I am not a fan of anyone right now. I am, a lover of all sports.
Who were you a fan of?
I grew up Did you say NBA? I wasn't a fan of teams in NBA. I love Penny Hardaway. He was my favorite player. Penny Hardaway and Michael Jordan. So by default, I like those teams.
Okay.
I didn't start watching football till I got to college. And I was here in Charlotte, so of course I naturally started following the Panthers. And
come on,
I grew up in probably in high school. I was an avid Duke fan.
Oh boy, jeez!
I know. See what I'm saying? Now you got me on tape saying this. But guys, I'm not a Duke fan anymore. I'm just a fan of sports.
You're just a professional.
I'm just a professional, non-biased reporter who covers Duke and UNC.
So let me ask you a question. So being a female in the industry, what are some obstacles that you face on a daily basis, like in the locker room or just trying to get access?
I don't have obstacles. Well, access is a thing. The locker room is, people think, oh, guys are hitting on you. Like these are men. These are professional men. I don't have any problems in the locker room. I have not been. I haven't been hollered at. Nobody's been unprofessional. Sometimes, like with college, like the guys may be taken aback when I walk in. Sometimes, but usually, like once they get to the level of a UNC or a Duke, they've seen women in the locker room before. So it's really professional. The coaches and the scouts are one you need to look out for, but I'm not going to get into any stories. Access is more of a problem, especially with me being independent, black, and a woman. I have to jump through a lot of hoops to get access. I probably have to show more. I have to show up more. I have to do more. But, UNC has been great with giving me access. Duke has been great with giving me access. And I'm working on the Panthers, so, they have been giving me more access.
What's been your favorite event to cover so far?
NCAA tournament. No, ACC tournament, hands down.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned a lot of teams, but one team I haven't heard yet.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. I don't do the Hornets.
Why not?
When you say you don't do them, you don't cover them?
I don't really cover the Hornets. I have reached out to the Hornets several times. It's not like they have an abundance of people covering their sport teams.
Yeah, it's why we started this podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's for some reason the Hornets have this antiquated view on media and coverage, and so now if I can't even get a response to an email, I'm not even going to mention them on my site.
Let me ask you this: do you think they have that antiquated view because they are afraid of what media outlets say to them? Do you think they want?
I don't know. I don't think that's it. I just feel like you have some people who understand that the industry is changing, that now people have a choice with where they go and get their sports content. It used to be, you have to go look at the newspaper.
Right.
You don't have to go to the Observer anymore.
So my second question: do you believe it's a little archaic?
It's very archaic.
Okay,
it's very archaic. It's archaic. It's like, okay, well, if you're a newspaper or such and such, okay, we'll let you in. Or I've seen some people who have zero following and really bad content in their letter, and I don't understand what the parameters are. It's not very consistent.
I want to say something.
Yeah, leave it alone, because I know what you think. Leave it alone.
It's not very consistent, but Carolina Blitz has tried to cover the Hornets, and even I was managing editor for SB Nation's Hornets site at the Hive for a while, and they wouldn't give us access. And this was a site affiliated with Vox Media, and they would not. We don't credential blogs, is what they said. So it's just, I feel like the Hornets, honestly, are missing out on huge opportunities to grow their fan base. Even in times where the team isn't as good, there are ways to keep your name out there and relevant, and have coverage of your team ever going constantly. I don't even hear about the Hornets during the off season unless they're sending some type of corny tweet on Twitter and somebody sends it to me and say, look how corny the Hornets social media team is. So it's just, I feel like there's a lot of room. There are podcasts, there are people who really want to cover this team, but you have Rick Brownell and Or Bonnell, and
there's
You
one
get
more.
Rob Boone from the Athletic now.
But that's it.
That's just
That's it. And you need more voices in that press room.
Now,
Because, and I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I don't mean to be long-winded.
No, you're
but I
good.
was just
I'm
having
sorry.
this conversation with my mom. Media, and this was, surrounding everything that's going on in the media right now. Oftentimes, the conversation is driven with the media. And not necessarily the people who are on TV. People think, TV, they might drive it, but the writers really start it.
Right,
and then the people on TV carry it on. So if you don't have diversity, if you don't have a varied number of opinions in that locker room, you're only getting that one perspective. And it does a disservice.
Well, at least they're consistent with the confusing moves they make. So
Now, with the Panthers, with the old regime, I've heard a lot of rumors that the reason why they never really got criticized the way that we probably felt that they should in the past was because it came from the top, that if you speak on this in a certain way, we're going to take away your credentials.
I heard that too.
You think that's kind of the same thing that the Hornets are doing? They're just trying to control the narrative in a way?
I mean, it's different though. With social media, you can't control the narrative anymore. Like, I can go and tweet something and it goes viral, and here's a new narrative.
Right,
You know,
right.
So I don't even know if it has to do with that. I just think they may have an old
They're
school,
just out of touch.
school, out of touch view about things.
Right.
I don't even know what the narrative is around the Hornets at this point.
Well,
We don't have another album.
Yeah,
we don't have another
yeah. So
album.
there is no narrative.
That's the narrative.
yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Jordan,
yeah.
the grand wizard of all things, can't do it.
Y'all,
That's the
don't
narrative.
trash Michael.
No, we don't.
we don't. We don't.
Okay.
We're being
I
sarcastic.
think that people we won't get into that. That's a whole nother conversation.
We're
But
one of
Michael
the few.
Jordan
No,
isn't the
yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I appreciate that. All right.
We appreciate somebody else saying that.
We appreciate that. We were able to get the 10th pick in here today, so we appreciate it.
A little bit.
Just a
We
tad
got a
bit.
segment in here.
All right.
Switch gears. So how did you get affiliated with 99 The Fan and Rock?
I actually know Reese and K-Mac, they have a show called The Sports Shop, and there aren't many black people in media. So you see each other a certain number of times, you speak, and I'd been on the show a couple of times before, and done just interviews about something that's going on, and we had discussed me doing a regular segment, and so it's kind of I've been doing it for a little over a year now.
Okay. How's the growth of Carolina Blitz been for you?
It's been really good. Like last year, honestly, this is a grind. I mean, y'all understand it. So before last year, I was like, man, if this doesn't pop off, I'm going back to corporate America begrudgingly, but I'm going back. And then I get seasoned for UNC and Duke. And last year with Duke, that was a huge deal because of Zion Williamson and RJ Barrett. And it was just a really exciting team. And it really grew my exposure. And I kind of started getting in with the Panthers. And now I'm getting in with the Panthers more. So it's like, you will be led to where you have to go.
Okay.
Right.
And sometimes you will be tested just to see if you can persevere. And if you persevere, you will reap the benefits of that.
I think
And
we
I
need
feel
to
like
hear
I'm
that.
starting
Yeah, we definitely needed
I
to.
think-
And listen, it's hard. I get it. But if you persevere, you will start to see the reaping of the benefits. And I'm starting to see it now.
Okay. How do you go about getting credentialed?
It's
For the
different.
ones that
It's
are
different.
watching.
It's different for every, because there are different people credentialing with different outlets. So, for example, with UNC, you have to show the guy who credentials for UNC. He has to see your body of work. It has to be consistent. He has to think it's up to par, and you have to show up. Basically, some people, if you know somebody, they'll let you in the door. Other people, like with Duke last year, it was showing up, doing the work, and I don't take no for an answer. That's another thing. Like, okay, you gonna tell me no? Like, I know the Panthers guy, Steve Drummond. I'm sorry, Steve, for emailing you like 1,000 times, but he finally responded. That's all I needed. I needed one response. So, you have to be persistent. You have to have work. And honestly, it's still a bit antiquated in some instances because they want to see writing.
Yeah.
There has to be a writing component is what I'm showing. Like, videos are good. You can have a huge social media following, but I see some people who don't have a huge social media following, but they have written content and they get access. So you have to be able to write, and I'll tell people that
Duly
all
noted,
the time.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
You have to be able to write and have some type of written content that complements or goes along with your podcast or your video content. So that's always important.
I'll ask one more question and then I'll let you guys have it because I feel like I'm still in tuning y'all.
Go ahead, man.
You mentioned all the things that you're doing and you've had to do. How do you balance that with life? Your social
I
life?
don't. No, I don't. So I took the summer off, and
Okay.
you need to do that.
Uh-huh.
So for after I thought I was going to the Final Four last year. I didn't go to the Final Four, and so after basketball season was over with, I really every now and then I might write something, but I just took off. And now that football season is go. It really is go. So literally I have something to do every day, but I have to say today I wasn't feeling the best. I was going to go from here straight to training camp, but I'm not feeling well. I know if I'm not feeling well now, I can't go to training camp tomorrow. Gotcha. I can't fly to Chicago to cover the preseason game. So you have to take days off, but it really is no balance. I'm by myself and I'm covering 4 teams.
Okay.
So there are no days off. You just have to have moments of reprieve.
Okay. That's cool. What now? Do you have a team that you work with that helps you out with all this?
What do you mean?
With Carolina Blitz?
No,
it's just you.
It's a one-woman show right now.
Right now.
Right now, I would love to work with people. I'm just apprehensive, and I have people. Oh, I want to work with you, but you have to be careful because and I said this before. As a black woman, my leash, everybody else's leash, may be this long, but my leash is this long. So let somebody mess up. Yeah. Under my name, right. And I'm done for.
Yeah.
So I can't go to advertisers and say, look, guys, I have this access. I have UNC access. I'll be at all the games. Or I have Duke access. I'll be at Panthers. And you can attach your brand to these teams and this access that I have. If I lose that, I have nothing. Right. So it's hard for me to grow a team with people who I can trust to do the job just as good, or maybe not just as good, but do the job that will be up to the standard that these people hold me to.
So do you have any close media relationships with anybody within the Charlotte market, 6'10", 7'30", anything like that?
Kyle Bailey, he's a cool guy.
Gotcha.
I've been on his show a couple of times. He seems to be he's
I got a funny story. You were on 6'10".
No, I don't want to hear your story because you already told a story about me talking about somebody's hair.
No, this is not a reflection on you. It's more of me, actually. You were on 6'10" The Fan one afternoon with Frank and Kyle, I believe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Y'all talking about the Hornets. And there was some angry guy that called to the show, and you were like, man, that voice sounds familiar.
I knew it. Matter of fact, this was during the golf tournament. Yeah. Somebody said, I don't remember, but he said, they didn't mention your name.
No, they didn't.
But the way it came across, I called you afterwards. I was like, man, Jamal, was that you? He was like, yeah, that was me. I said, oh, God.
Angry black face.
I know, exactly.
Because Frank used to piss me off so much when we talk about the Hornets, man. So I had to call him, man. So
yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, C.L. Brown, he works for The Athletic now. He used to write with ESPN. He's up in Raleigh. The guys from the Sports Shop, Jasmine Fritz, she does stuff with the Sports Shop. Josh, who's on Fox Sports, the black guy.
Josh Sims,
yeah, Josh Sims. He's cool. Sheena Quick, she does stuff. I'm cool with her. Yeah, she does a lot with the Big Three now. She does stuff with the Panthers. So, yeah, I mean, I have, I'm probably the closest with Sheena just because, birds of a feather, so we understand the struggle, and then we do stuff sometimes as far as talking about the games and stuff. We're both independent, so it's kind of different, but yeah. But I don't have Sheena would be you don't really have friends in this business because when you're independent, everybody thinks that you're competition low key.
Right.
They act like they don't respect you, but low key they know you're competition. Gotcha. So it's a very competitive thing.
Gotcha.
That seems to be a common narrative going on right now.
That's something we'll talk about after.
What happened?
It's an inside joke, and we have to talk about that off screen. Yeah, off screen. Yeah.
We don't want to piss anybody else off.
Okay.